Alright, howdy, I'm Leo, and this is the part I cut out. Today we are going to be doing the transformation for FansToys Inquisitor. And this is quite a beautiful figure, as you can see here, but I'm not here to talk about the figure, I'm here to talk about the transformation. And more accurately, I am here to do the transformation. So we're just going to do some quick prep work here, getting the fists into these kind of cubicle-esque shapes, as it were. You know how that is. Oftentimes these figures require you to do the fists up into these kind of cube shapes so that they're easier to fit in places. And with that, we're ready to go. So we're actually going to start down here at the feet, fold in these beautiful metallic red toes. Then you're going to rock this down on the ankle pivot, and on the inside of the legs there's a little latch here that you're going to flip open, and then it doesn't flip out all that much, but then you're going to notice this comes loose, and you're also going to want to come to this side and make sure this is all the way out. This is on a slider joint, so make sure that joint is slid all the way out there, as you can see. And then the leg is going to start to come undone, so you can pull this inner part out. Just kind of move that all the way out. And then again, this leg is going to start to come undone, so we're going to put the knee all the way in the forward position for now. We're going to begin to rock this leg up, and there's a series of hinges in here that you're going to start to rock up, but don't rock it all the way up, because these side blue pieces on the sides of the knees are going to come unpegged from the knee, and they're actually going to pivot forward to the front of the knee. Let me see if I can get a better angle on that. These are going to come unpegged, and they're going to pivot forward like that. I think you can see now, to the front of the knee. And then you're also going to want to close this. This is one of the only unpainted pieces on this figure, which is kind of interesting because it is exposed here, as you can see. But fold this unpainted blue piece in and underneath. And then there's one step we kind of forgot. Up here at the thigh, there are these little tiny cutouts that you can use to kind of get your fingernail under there. You're going to get that under there and push the thigh back, so you have this gap now. And you can use that to rotate the thigh off to the side. And then you're going to finally swivel this all the way up on that double hinge, and you'll feel when it's in position. And then you're going to take this leg, close it up, latch it in place, and make sure that the slider joint is all the way closed. And then there's also a little peg kind of down here. It might not close all the way for you. I don't think it closes all the way for me. Or maybe it does. Maybe I'm a liar. Oh no, you don't want to do that yet. I just lied to you. See? I'm a liar. Undo this, open this up, and the reason you need to do that is we need to unpeg the foot here. Right there. There's that peg. And swivel it around here to this spot. And then you're going to want to take this. Some people think it's a heel spur, and you might be able to use it as such, but it's more for the transformation. Pull this piece all the way out like that. And then you're going to want to swivel this toe piece down and into the foot like that. And then you can see here how they do the pivot. You're going to want to rotate this all the way to the other side. And then this is why the leg is open, because without it you can't fully get this in. And then once it's in, close up the leg, latch it, pull this all out, and then we are ready to move on to the other leg. And we're done. For now. With the legs, that is. There is one more thing we need to do. I like to fold these up just to keep them kind of out of the way. We need to come around to the back, and on the bottom there's a piece that you need to kind of get your fingernail in and pull up. And then this is very, very FansToys Thomas-esque. It unlocks, you can see there are holes here in the back. These two pegs. This is, like I said, this is a lot like FansToys Thomas or MP Megatron. slide those down until they're like right next to each other, and then close this piece up, and that will lock those in. And then you want to swivel this piece back down, and then just peg it in. And then once you've done that, you can see this is not fully closed. So close that up and make sure you're latched on the other side. You're going to then reorient these cabs. The problem with these being on different swivels, the calf or the thigh swivel and this transformation swivel, is that they can get kind of mixed up with each other. So just try and orient them that way. And then you're going to take the 2 feet and peg them together like that. Now we are done with the legs. So we can move on from the legs to the upper body. Now we're to the upper body, and this is where the fun begins. Underneath the arms, it's kind of challenging with the way I have my lights here. There's a little panel here that you're going to want to flip open like that. And then on the top, there are these tiny little panels right here that you need to flip open first. This is something I got wrong the first time I transformed it. And then you can use that as access to flip up this panel. You can also kind of use this, probably not the best idea, but since this is plugged into this upper panel, you can kind of wiggle on the arm a bit to try and get this unlocked. And so there you go. You can now swivel this up, and then you have the arm ready to go. And then on the side, there's this piece right here that you want to just kind of push in on, and you'll see it'll start collapsing. And then this top panel you want to fold down all the way down, and that'll just fold 90 degrees down. It doesn't collapse any further than that. And then push it into the torso. You want to then take this arm and pull it out, and it'll be on a hinge joint that'll rock down. And then you want to collapse the arm up along the side of the body, and this is why we have these fists in this orientation, so that it will sit there. And then once this is down, you want to kind of make sure this is a bit further down than it should be, because you want to close this panel on the side again, and then you can make sure this is in position. This doesn't peg in or anything. Unlike up top, it doesn't tab in down here, so it'll just kind of sit there. That's okay. And then you can close this up, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So open up the arm, fold this panel out here. Again, I apologize for how dark it is. My setup is not full coverage from this angle. Fold this panel up, and then, like I said, I like to wiggle the arm a little bit to get this panel started. And then you're going to lift this up like that, and then come down here, squeeze in on the side of the torso, fold it down, fold that in, and then you're going to pull this arm out, because it does peg in up here, but we're going to pull that arm out, peg it in down here, close this side panel, and then you're going to put the arm in what looks like a normal orientation. It's a little bit further down the torso. And then you're going to close this upper kind of shoulder piece and close that up. And now we get to move on to the backpack. So I didn't lock this because you should probably do the left arm first before the right arm, because on this side you can open up this collar piece and then fold this little tab out, and make sure this is unlocked, because that locks in. So you're going to pull this backpack assembly away from the figure like that. So then you can kind of close this up for now. Don't lock it in place though, because we're going to need to come back. The head, going to want to squeeze the collar and pull up on it to release it from these 2 tabs. pull the backpack away. This is a very Hasbro Studio Series 86 part of the transformation, where you kind of pull back on the head and then you pull away from the torso, and it kind of unfurls in this long chain of hinges and armatures and things. So then once you're here, these two tabs, oh no, on the front of the chest, I'm all over the place, I apologize. On the front of the chest, there are two little notches on the sides that you can use to pull it away. Oh, you might need to start with this hinge. This is a sliding hinge. Oh, there you go. Just slide the hinge out, and it came straight undone for me. Then, once this hinge is out of the way, you can rotate these little pegs down and into the torso like that. So swivel it down into the torso, pivot this back up, and then this is going to level off like that, and you want to press down on it and slide it into position. Then we can come back up here. We might not need to do this yet. Raise that up, bring this armature back down, and make sure this is in place. Fingers are getting caught on these wings. And then you can see this little tab here that's going to peg into that hole. Close that up. Now we can put this in position. Then come to the backpack, split it right there. And then you also want to split this little tiny tab here. And this is going to kind of splay out. And then you can start unfolding things. And I understand where people might get overwhelmed here, because this rapidly kind of becomes a bit of a mess. So fold this backpack out like this. And then you're going to want to balance him on his face down there. Swivel this up, and you can rotate this entire piece around. You want to fold out these little kind of gray-blue pieces so that you can swivel this all the way around. See if we can get it from this angle. Fold this piece out, and then you want to take the entire thing and swivel it back like that so that it's facing upright, and then swivel it again so now it's in the right orientation, and you'll see these pieces will kind of line back up with each other. You can peg those together if just to give it some more stability. So we're going to come back around to the front of this mess, and you can fold this piece down and underneath the chest piece there, and you'll feel it kind of start to maneuver its way into position. And then you're going to want to take this entire assembly and rotate it right here about this point, like that. So now it's in this orientation, and then you can take it and close this up on that tab, like so. And it's slowly, trust me, it's slowly starting to come together. So now you're going to be in kind of this orientation. So now what you want to do is you want to fold all of this forward, and you want to collapse these wing pieces. You want to make sure that they're underneath this little tab section here. It's kind of hard, but I don't want this bracket falling all the way back. And so you're going to fold those up, and then there will be tabs along the side here to tab them in. And this will also help to give this figure structural rigidity, like that. And then you can you can close these up for now, although we're probably going to need to reopen them a little bit later, like so. Come back up to the top. So I'm going to reposition my camera here because this is where it's going to get a little bit challenging. I say a little bit. A lot of people probably think this is already very challenging. I think it's pretty fun. So underneath here, I can swivel this up for a second. Underneath here, you're going to want to unpeg these and open them up. And the reason being, we're going to need to get these pieces locked underneath this series of armatures. So take that, swivel that to the front. We need to get this head section ready. So bring the head down, and there's two little tabs here. I don't know if you can really see them, but there's a tab on either side. You can pull this section out, and you can swivel the head, and it will lock into place. And then you want to grab this back here and swivel that up. Get that out of the way. That will allow you to pivot this. This is for the transformation head gimmick. You're going to bring this piece down for now. And then right here, there's a sliding joint. So if we close it, there you can see that's what it's going to look like closed. That's what it's going to kind of be in the final position, but you want this slid open for now because you need all the room you can get. And you can see here, well, you can see there's a little tab right there, and that's going to end up in this slot right there. But don't peg it in just yet because we need to peg in all of this stuff first. So, moment of truth. This is, I think, the most difficult part of this transformation. Start to bring this down. Make sure this whole thing is extended as far as it can. Start to bring this down. Wrap these open. You're gonna just set it down right there. And you can see that this is already fallen into place. So then once that is at that point, you want to grab these and wrap them underneath like this. Kind of like that. And so also in there, it's going to be very hard to see. You can kind of see the reflection of it. Thank goodness for their metallic paint. You want to squeeze this together, and that'll help to lock it in place. Let me maneuver my camera back down because it's going to be on the ground from now on. We're going to swivel these pieces out on here, move these out. You can do this beforehand, but I've gotten this in a pretty good position. There are also some panels up underneath here that are going to need to come out like that, right there. Swivel it down, and there's another one on the other side. Kind of inconvenient to access once you've gotten this far, but there's your other panel. Swivel that, and then there's a little tab that you can use to open it up like so. Get the head in between there, and you're going to squeeze these together like that. Come back around to the front. We need to open the bottom of these. Like I said, I was using these for kind of structural integrity. We're going to open these wings, or begin to open them again. And then you're going to kind of pull them out so that you can kind of maneuver these pieces into position, because they need to close down like that. So that's now sitting flush, and that kind of really helps to give this thing structural integrity. Then fold the wings back up and underneath. Don't worry if they don't peg in all the way for now, because we're not quite done with the transformation. So then this part is a bit challenging. I had to get in there with my fingers and kind of maneuver that peg. You can see that little peg right there in that gap, or that tab rather. You're just going to want to wrap that under this larger panel here. And then there's a peg on the underside that's going to go into a slot. Like that. And then down here, we can see that you can begin to maneuver this into place. And there's a bunch of things that are going to come together with these. This looks like a tab on the top of these, but it's actually not. You don't want to try and tab that into anything. Make sure the head is closed. These are going to tab in. This is already looking miles better. Close that up. There will be tabs. And these are going to sit on the back of this, like that. Not on the inside, this little piece here. And then we're going to open this section up. This is a bit challenging. I don't know if it's just tight on my copy, but open that up, swivel this piece out into the back, and then close it down and collapse that into place. Boom. Coming back to the underside, make sure your arms are still in their appropriate positions, and if they've come out of position, fortunately they're not locked in. For better or for worse, they're not locked in, so you can swivel them out and fix them right up. And then once we are here, we're going to fold these pieces out, and finally we can collapse these. So there are going to be these tabs. Reorient myself. There's these tabs right here that are going to go into slots in the bottom of the feet. So you just want to squeeze them in. Make sure these pieces are still flipped out, because they're pretty easy to flip in on their own while you're maneuvering this figure. So then flip this panel down. This little piece comes out, and then you can close it up along here. Unfortunately, this is on a nice little double joint that you can use to your advantage. You're going to want to kind of line up this tab at the end along with this part. Is how I've found the most success in doing this. This panel is going to collapse along these tabs, close that down, and then that will help to ensure that that gets closed properly. And then once you do that, you can collapse the wing and peg it in, and we should be all good there. That started to come undone. Then we'll do the same thing on this side, where we flip this down, flip this open. Then we're going to take this, swivel it down, make sure those panels are all the way down. You're going to close that up. On this tab is a little tricky. Try to get everything into position, and then close this up just like that. That's closed down. That is folded up, and then you can fold this wing down just like that, and give them a good squeeze. And finally, and this is a very thoughtful part of the transformation, take these heel spurs, as some people would call them, and fold them all the way in and collapse this tiny little panel, and that really smoothly covers down on that back part, so there really are no gaps on the front, back, and sides of the vehicle. And so there he is, after a very long, and I apologize for all my missteps, but here we can also take the stand and plug it into these ports on the sides of the legs, and then just kind of closes over the waist here. And that's for if you have the FansToys stand, which I do not, but it allows you to do that. And then while we have him here we have Quarrel. And unfortunately, Quarrel, you can watch the transformation as I give you a little bit of an explanation here. Quarrel cannot be used in the robot mode because the handle has a tab on it that is too short, so it wouldn't fit the length of the hand this way, and it's too thin. So even if it did fit, it would not properly be grabbed by the hand, and so it just falls out. It does not even attempt to be pegged in. So this is a bit of a tricky part. There's a hinge right here that you want to use because he does have an ab crunch. But that's not the hinge you want to use. You want to use this kind of at the hip line hinge, and it can be a little bit tricky to open. And then you want to flip the legs all the way over, and then they will latch in on top, in front of the shoulders rather, not above the shoulders. Then kind of squeeze that into position, and then you can rotate this part down to keep the barrel of the weapon from leaving his back. And so there he is in his blaster mode, and you can flip out either of these handles. I believe the instructions tell you to flip down both handles, and I tried everything, but it does not work in robot mode. So does it work in vehicle mode? And the answer is yes, with an asterisk. On the bottom of the stand adapter, there's a little slot here that you can take and slide this into. And okay, you may think, oh, FansToys, that's very thoughtful, incorporating the mini robot into the vehicle mode. But no, because you may see a problem here. It then blocks the stand adapter, which is going to stick attached to the stand like this. But obviously, when you have this mini robot in the way, you can't do that. So it's basically useless, unfortunately. And so there's the transformation for Quarrel, as well as the transformation for Scourge. And I'm going to remove this stand adapter because I thought it would help him in vehicle mode, but alas, it does not. So there he is. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, I apologize for my missteps during the transformation, but if there are any other figures you'd like me to do transformations for, leave a comment down below. And as always, I'm Leo, reminding you that plastic toys don't belong in plastic prisons. See you next time.